My friends, a few hours ago the most important commercial artery on planet Earth was about to suffer a fatal heart attack, and the whole world held its breath. And what you are about to see now brutally, irreversibly, and definitively changes the balance of power in the desert. Iran had turned the dark waters of the Strait of Hormuz into a deadly minefield, ready to destroy supertankers and strangle the economy of the entire world. The geopolitical blackmail was in place, and the knife was at the West's throat. But then the United States and Israel did not respond with complacent diplomacy. They responded by unleashing a cyber apocalypse beneath the waves. We're talking about a surgical mini invasion of mini underwater and surface terminators. Iran sowed chaos, and the Pentagon sent the cold precision of robotics to sweep the sea. In the last 24 hours, the United States Navy completed the total elimination of the Iranian arsenal hidden in international shipping lanes. And they did it without a single American sailor getting their boots wet. They physically removed Tehran's last real lever of power over the world's energy supply. And here is where the great metaphor of this invisible war is born.
Tehran's tactic was what I call the blind gardener's bluff. Pay attention to this image.
Iran acted exactly like that paranoid lunatic who fills his own backyard with high-voltage landmines to keep the police away. But in the midst of his own delusion and incompetence, he loses the map of where he buried them. And now, the blind gardener can't even leave his own house to buy bread without the risk of being blown up. Iran mined the ocean and literally lost the GPS coordinates of its own weapons. And for you to understand the magnitude and the absurd difficulty of what just happened, subscribe to the channel, turn on the notification bell, and like the video because it takes a lot of work to bring this to you. So we need to bring it down to tactical reality. The old media paints the situation as if the American Navy had swept the entire ocean. That's false. The Strait of Hormuz is 39 kilometers, 21 nautical miles wide at its narrowest point. The civilian navigation scheme in there is claustrophobic. There is only an entry lane that's a mere 3.2 kilometers wide and an identical exit lane of 3.2 kilometers. And in addition, an escape area,
a 3.2 kilometer buffer in the middle. My friends,
a supertanker loaded with 2 million barrels of crude oil, moving at full speed. It needs several kilometers of stopping distance to come to a stop. Misplacing an underwater mine by even a meter could cost $1 billion ship and cause an environmental disaster that would shut down the Gulf. For decades, the difficulty wasn't sweeping the entire ocean. The almost impossible mission was to guarantee an ultra-precise corridor, clean and fail-proof. And it was exactly because of this zero margin for error that on April 11th, the United States Central Command did not send traditional minesweepers, but dispatched the fearsome guided missile destroyers USS Frank Patterson and USS Michael Murphy. They did not enter the strait to disarm bombs. They entered with their guns pointed at the Iranian coast to secure the waters and create a bubble of massive protective fire. They made sure no one on the shore even breathed so that the American surgical machines could start working on the seabed. And what machines were those, you ask me? Well, the dirty work is now done by a technological triad that operates in sync. The first layer comes from the air. The 60SC Seahawk helicopter operates the ALMDS pod, the Airborne Laser Mine Detection System. It's a piece of equipment weighing 372 kilograms and almost 3 meters long. It fires continuous pulses of green laser light at the water. It makes Iran's secret minefield completely visible, mapped, and irrelevant, operating at high speed, without ever having to stop or touch the water. The second layer is where your mind gets blown. The Corsair robotic speedboat, an 11.7-meter aluminum beast. This is not just an autonomous boat. It has history and blood on its resume. The Corsair is the same class of lethal robotic boat that was already used in a covert cinematic operation to rescue 2 downed Apache helicopter pilots, culminating in a devastating kamikaze explosion directly against the Mandarabas docks in the heart of the Iranian military port. Today, in the strait, it towed the advanced AQS-20C sonar, imitating the acoustic signature of an aircraft carrier, to force the influence mines to detonate on their own, fooled by a ghost hull. And then comes the third layer, which was 27 meters deep. Drones and submarines like Lenton submerged just 2 meters above the mud, finding direct contact threats hidden in the dark seabed. More than 100 explosives were isolated and destroyed. But the greatest irony of all, the big military paradigm shift, is that the United States Navy accomplished this miracle right after getting rid of the old tools. Last year, the United States decommissioned and retired all 4 of its historic Avenger-class mine-hunting ships. Entire ships made with wooden hulls so they wouldn't trigger magnetic fields, which were based in Bahrain. And the Sea Dragon mine-sweeping helicopter had its official retirement ceremony in early 2025. The message is deafening. The era of sailors sweating on wooden hulls is over. Naval warfare has become 100% autonomous and relentless. Did you ever imagine seeing this happen? Well, that's what we're seeing today in the Strait of Hormuz. And while the robots were sweeping the area, Iran's humiliation reached abysmal levels behind the diplomatic scenes. Remember our metaphor? Well, the blind gardener tried to hide his own embarrassment. In June, Iran swallowed its pride and signed the pathetic Islamabad Memorandum, in which the very authorities of Tehran agreed on paper to remove the mines they had scattered during the recent war outburst. And the problem? Well, April arrived, and the Iranian officials had to confess to the New York Times that their naval forces could no longer locate the explosives they themselves had tied to the ocean floor. And they didn't even have safe drone technology to do it. And at the height of cynical desperation, after the American Navy had already cleared the channel, the regime's spokespersons went on state television. They shamelessly proposed a structured model for joint demining. They wanted to pretend they were helping to clean up their own mess, when in fact, they had already lost geographic and technological control over their own deterrent weapons. The bluff was crushed. And that's why this video needs to break out of the bubble. So you can support it directly using Super Thanks, the like button down below, or the information that appears on your screen. And there's more. The internal structural collapse of Iran is accelerating violently. The regime is not just losing mines, it's losing the country. Iran's economy has plummeted to a terrifying historic low, reaching the absurd and unreal exchange rate of over 2 million rials, which is the Iranian currency, to buy a single dollar. Can you imagine, here in Brazil, the dollar is worth 5.20. There, a dollar is worth 2 million. In other words, their purchasing power and ability to finance terrorism have dried up. The country is in pure survival mode, and cyber and surveillance punishment spares no one on the global geopolitical stage. If the Middle Eastern Sea is being watched, the dark rivers of the Americas and the cold of Eastern Europe don't escape either. So we've come to our global roundup. On the coasts near the United States, we've just witnessed 2 devastating attacks in just 48 hours, completely annihilating 4 illegal speedboats belonging to the major drug cartels. The narcos try to hide, but they're being hunted non-stop by infrared sensors. Does the military rule now apply to crime? He entered the water under the watchful eyes of American drones. There's no room to escape. In Eastern Europe, surgical intelligence struck with scalpel-like precision. And at the gigantic and heavily guarded Russian air base of Milarovo, with the engines still completely cold in the dead of night, The last thing the Russian garrison managed to notice was a measly Ukrainian quadcopter drone tearing through the air and surgically striking the root of the wing of a formidable MiG-29 fighter jet parked near its own reinforced shelter. In a single deadly dawn, the forces got not only the fighter jet but also destroyed 4 adjacent Russian air defense radar complexes. What does this prove? It proves that military superiority and the size of your army mean absolutely nothing if your enemy controls the information and the eyes in the dark sky. And that's why the United States has just raised the level of the game to cosmic heights. The American government spent exactly $116 million to upgrade a colossal radar deep in Wales in the United Kingdom. This radar isn't aimed at ships. It was built to face deep space. It is penetrating the absolute darkness more than 35,400 kilometers above us. The Space Force, the US Space Force, is tracking Russia's Hunter satellites and China's orbital spy platforms. Modern warfare has already left the surface of the sea. It now monitors geostationary orbits, watching constellations that could paralyze the planet. Also on Tuesday, the head of the CIA arrived in Moscow for a mysterious meeting with Vladimir Putin. My friends, the head of the CIA and the president of Russia only meet in person on occasions when the world is on the brink of collapse. Trump says that everything is fine, everything is calm, and that nothing important was discussed there. But unimportant matters can be handled over the phone or through the secure line that runs directly from the White House to the Kremlin. But that's not what happened. He was there with a full committee in a meeting that lasted only 20 minutes. Some say it was to discuss Iran. Others say that Putin is planning an even greater advance in Ukraine, or perhaps an adventure against another European country. Last time this happened was exactly when Putin invaded Ukraine. But so far, nothing is really confirmed. And going back to Hormuz to prevent any misstep from Tehran, the sky is lined with the Pentagon's most expensive systems. Ultra-secret and tactical drones like the Shield from AV Bat, the lethal flying wing Andrew Fury, the stratospheric Sentinels RQ-4 Global Hawk, and the stealthy RQ-170. They circle the region, absorbing every radio emission, every vibration from the Iranian boats anchored in the bays. The blind gardener tried to set up a naval trap and ended up building his own glass cage. Washington's enemy today can't even start the engine of a rubber boat without the Space Force classifying and locking onto their backs in less than 3 minutes. My friends, now the most important moment has arrived. The time to show that you understand the intelligence behind the operational facts. Go down to the comments now and type the 2 keywords that define the state of play in our analysis today. Type absolute machine or blind gardener. I repeat, absolute machine and blind gardener. Hey, let me tell you something. We're in a dark, lonely time when they can block this channel at any moment. Yes, 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 you know that. We're on borrowed ground here, so we don't lose touch. I created our backup channel. The link is now appearing in the pinned comment in the chat and via the QR code on your screen. If we are taken off the air here, we will continue our mission there. Don't forget, subscribe to our backup channel. Because all that's left on deck is bluster of the Secretary of Iran's Supreme National Security Council, Mossad Rezai. He went on television and promised a seismic retaliation. He stated through gritted teeth that the United States would not take a single drop of oil from the region. It's the empty arrogance of a cornered bureaucrat who knows he has lost. Iran has utterly lost the ability to close the channel without facing instant military eradication. The tactic of spreading mines was eventually replaced by the historic embarrassments of an outdated system that can barely supply its own front line. The big tactical question keeping American radars at full power tonight isn't whether Iran has weapons, The final question, the 4D analysis of this operation, is about the limit of pride. With the maritime blockade dissolved by drones, the currency evaporating, and the world ignoring its threats, what will the dictatorial regime do? Will they swallow the corrosive silence of total diplomatic irrelevance, shrinking their forces to focus purely on repressing their own starving population? Or will they, in a final outburst of desperation and fanatical radicalism, activate their swarms of small, fast attack boats and attempt a direct and violent suicide boat assault against an American destroyer in the Gulf to reignite global geopolitical tension? The answer to that lies in the rotors of the heavy 68-4 Apache attack helicopters and in the immense wings of the attack jet. Apache helicopters crossed the heavy winds over the Persian Gulf this very dawn. They're back! And they're fully armed with the rules of engagement wide open. Circling the coast, Hungary. The crew of these deadly flying machines silently prays for a mistake from the enemy. They're just waiting for an Iranian Revolutionary Guard captain to cross the invisible line into the zone, to unleash a storm of depleted uranium and hellfire missiles over the water. Naivety invariably exacts a fatal and immediate toll that inattentive nations will never be able to bear.
Ignorance exacts your own priceless freedom and sovereignty.
Tactical warfare doesn't happen only on the battlefield, my friend. It happens in your market. Today, the most valuable currency in the world is people's attention. It's not oil, it's not gold, it's attention. And for the entrepreneur, what hurts the most is being absolutely the best at what he does. Having an elite business and still remaining completely invisible because you think the internet is just about dances and memes. I used to think exactly like that, but after 15 years in the business, going from radio and television to hitting 50 million views per minute on social media, the game became very clear to me. Your identity cannot be outsourced. The owner needs to put himself out there, but without being amateurish. And that's why I'm recruiting entrepreneurs and top quality professionals who are exceptional at what they do, but remain hidden, trapped in the bubble. And you need to break through that bubble. Be recognized as an unquestionable authority in your niche and make the algorithm work for you. Those who have done this and those who are doing it now are earning at least 3 times more than those who don't. And to put an end to the era of recording with your phone in the dark and to apply a killer positioning method, on September 27th, I created my fully in-person immersion. Face to face with me, face to face with Chimao. Locked here in my studio. But I'm cold when it comes to numbers, and you know that very well. There are only 10 seats. When the 10th spot is taken, the steel door closes and this opportunity is over. So to get the code, looking me in the eye, applying what I apply and what helped me reach you right there in your house, on your phone, on your computer, on your television. Point your phone at the QR code that's appearing on the screen now, or if you prefer, click the secure link in the description and in the first pinned comment. Secure your spot immediately and come secure your communications. Guys, we're talking about a global war. They say World War I-II has already started, and I agree. It started in a civilizational, ideological way, and in some parts of the globe, kinetically. My friends, my friends, my friends. None of this would be possible if Israel and the United States didn't have first-class espionage operations. Fantastic espionage work. And it was exactly this kind of action that led to victory against Iran. And I'm leaving you with 7 fantastic spy series. And you'll find the complete list on our channel with tips about series and movies. The link is in the video description, in the first pinned comment, and in the card on the button that will appear on your screen. No woke stuff, no whining, tough series, just the way Shimon likes it, so you can just enjoy it with your family. Don't miss it! 7 spy series certified by Commander Battistella. Now comes the best part. Subscribe to the channel, turn on the notification bell, and leave your like on the video because it takes a lot of work to make it.
I'm Shimon Oliveira, and I'll see you here next time. See you then.